Welcome to Align to Your Design. I'm your host, Beth Davis. Isn't it time to wrap your business around your purpose and bring your greatest work to the world? Each week, join me as we explore various biometric tools such as human design and hand analysis and how to use them to fulfill your destiny and align to your design. We will reveal how to do the work you are designed to do rather than what you think you should do. Hey everyone, it's Beth Davis. Welcome to the Align to Your Design podcast, where we meet people who are, in my opinion, aligned to their design, living their purpose, bringing their gifts to the world. And I'm so happy you're with us today. Our topic today is a good one. We're going to explore the difference between digital presence and digital experience. You can use the word online if you'd like. It's where most of us are these days, online. I do look forward to getting back to meeting in person, but that's where we are. So we're going to look at digital presence versus digital experience with my amazing guest, Brandi Bernoskie, who is a strategic business consultant, website developer, as well as the founder of Alchemy and AIM and co-founder of Interstellar Support. And these are companies that help entrepreneurs elevate their online presence and get the right website and technology to be successful. And if you're an entrepreneur, you know how important that is. Her academic background is in theater, philosophy, and physics. It was the perfect foundation for launching her businesses, where she has worked with Brene Brown, Laverne Cox, Ali Brown, Judy Smith, and other notable thought leaders since 2013. Brandi is an advocate for using technology in ways that humanize, connect, and serve people, as well as for teaching others to think more broadly about impact when they create and the impact that they create. So with that, let us welcome to Align to Your Design, Ms. Brandi Bernoskie.
Hey, I'm so glad to be here. Yay.
So happy to have you. So glad to have you. So let me ask you something. Theater background, philosophy and physics, and now you design these kick-ass websites and provide technological support for online business owners. How did that transition happen? How did you end up in this digital world?
Yeah, so it's funny because I look back and there were the beginnings of it a long time ago. When I finished up my time at NYU, which is where I was doing my theater major, I actually took a course at the School of Visual Arts in HTML. It was my first kind of coding course in anything. And it taught me the basics of HTML and CSS. So it was just a skill set that I had that I continued to utilize in the coming years. I had, I don't even think about this anymore, but I very briefly had a little website for a company called Blue Alchemist, where I was doing, I think I did 2 websites for people before I went on and just did other things. And then eventually got into blogging around 2008, 2009, blogged for a number of years. And as I was blogging, I was really teaching myself to do a lot of the coding that I needed done for my own website. It's not something I recommend a lot of entrepreneurs get into, but I had the skills and background. So eventually that led into doing sites for friends and then doing sites with designers and then having a company of developers who actually builds these beautiful, beautiful websites that we get to help our clients with.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do design beautiful websites. You designed one for me, which is going live very soon, which I'm so excited about. We're going to do a big launch around it.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell everyone that you designed it because it's so beautiful. All right. So first of all, tell us, what is the difference? I mean, I could guess, but I don't really know. What is the difference between digital presence versus digital experience?
So I think digital presence is how most people think about their website. Mm-hmm, they think, I just need to build something and put it up there and people will come. Right. It's just I need a landing page, a spot, it's like a business card. But the reality of it is that we are so online these days that a digital presence actually doesn't suffice. We are really heavily involved online. And I think that more than ever, we are extending ourselves into the digital space in a way that we have never have in the past. 10, 15 years ago, a digital presence was sufficient. But now especially because we're doing so much, virtually with people, we have to think in terms of what is the digital experience that's being created. So that means like, when there's a confirmation message, it needs to sound like you,
Mm-hmm.
like you need to inject yourself and your personality inside of every little piece of things so that there's a consistent and coherent experience from the time someone lands on your website to when they purchase from you to when they interact with you. Like we want it to all be the same, not have some sort of like weird stuffy language or some sort of like strange onboarding piece that doesn't actually line up with like who you are as a person and how you show up to the meetings or calls or trainings that you have with people. So you have to actually think in terms of from start to finish, not just in terms of like discrete things you can throw up and be done with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what do you think are the biggest mistakes you see people making with their websites?
um Not thinking through it, slapping things together, hoping that if they just build something, people will show up. That's, for any of us who are in an online space, we know you can't just put a website up and people magically start knocking down your door to buy from you. Like you have to go find your audience and know where your ideal clients hang out and invite them in. They are not like merely going to be Googling, and land on your doorstep that way. So I really think, you have to think about it as just a piece in the puzzle, not as the entire solution to everything. And then, like, honestly, I tell clients you need to update your site on a regular basis, not just with blog posts and, podcast episodes, but you also need to look at the language you're using around, what you're offering people and how you're serving them, and know where the world is changing and evolving to. That's a really big deal, especially like in the last year, the world has changed so much that your ideal clients' pain points, problems, wants, and desires may shift. And you
Mm-hmm.
have to make sure you're shifting your language as that's happening to make sure that they understand that you have a solution to the problem that they have.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of the people that you work with, it seems, are personalities,
Yes.
right? Their business in a way centers around them. Do you also do websites for companies that sell maybe tech services or widgets or?
Yeah, we absolutely do. But I will tell you, whether it's a person and a personality, or if it's a company, that maybe there isn't a single person who's standing at the front of the company. It's just as important for those companies to think through their experience and almost have like their own digital persona or avatar that's interacting with it. Like if we think of like a company like Apple appeals to a very particular like subset of people who have particular beliefs, and their online language speaks to that person. It's almost like you can kind of imagine that there's this like Apple avatar behind everything that's talking to
Mm-hmm.
us. So I think it's as important, like, even if you're not a personality driven company, that you think like a personality driven company, because people respond better to them. Like if you look at, for example, Joanna Gaines personally has more followers on Instagram than her company Magnolia does. And we are naturally attracted, particularly today, like we trust individuals. We
Mm-hmm.
see how they're showing up. We're a little less likely to trust companies that are showing up in a very kind of generic manner unless they start really injecting a personality to their brand.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And what would you say is the place people should start when they're thinking about building, or designing, writing copy for their website? Where's the very first place you recommend they start?
So I always think it's important to start with the strategy, understand the big picture vision. So understand where you are now and where you want to go and how that's going to be mapped out. This is why, like, one of the first things I do with clients is just get on a call with them and start to understand what are their goals, because the goals will shape the pages that you have, the copy that you need, everything along the way, the photos that you need to take. And really like honing in on that strategy and how you're going to get from, where you are now. Like, do you have anything that's usable or not? It depends what kind of shift you're making in your business, or if you're just starting out, certainly. But do you have anything that's usable, or do things need to be created that can get you from where you are to where you want to be? And I think it's really important that you take the time to do the foundational brand work. It's shocking the number of times I will have people come to me and they're hoping to figure out what their offers are while we're working together.
Oh, fascinating.
Yeah, that's it. Because people think that doing the website process will provide clarity, and it oftentimes does add clarity to the mix, but you will not get as much out of it if you don't show up with some level of clarity of like, do you know what your offerings are? Do you know how you're attracting new clients? How are you going to market to people? What are your values as a company? Who are you as a person? Who do you want to be? Like, who are you in your bigness? Because I think that's essential on websites, is that you show up in your bigness and your like your full energy, and not in, I always kind of say like my day-to-day self that's like in pajama pants, and you want to show up in your bigness and fullness, and because that's what's going to attract people in. So you have to do that foundational work. You have to know who you are. You have to know what your company is offering people, what are the problems that you're solving. You need to do that foundational brand work and the strategy around it to make sure that anything you build is going to be the right thing. And then from there, I love it when I get someone who has those pieces in place, or we've worked through those pieces, because then it becomes obvious, like, oh, here's the team we need to put together. Here's the support that they need ongoing. Here's what we need to build. And I know it's going to be a great investment for them. It's not just an expense. It becomes this investment that takes them to where they want to go.
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. That you want to build now to where you want to go.
Yes. Yeah. You don't want to build for where you are. You always want to build for where you want to go. And that does not mean, I should say, that doesn't mean you have to build everything now. Like, if you know you want a podcast in a year, it doesn't mean you have to build that now. But it does mean, in my opinion, that your site needs to be built in mind with the structure that allows a podcast to be added on in a way that's not, ripping something apart and duct taping it back together again. Like, there needs to be that consideration in the technology.
Beautifully said. So to go another tack, this is totally off topic.
Yeah.
We're both theater majors.
Yeah.
And look at us now working these online businesses. So what was it that brought you to theater? I mean, had you always loved it since you were a kid, or how did that happen?
My mom put me in theater when I was probably in like 4th or 5th grade, because I'm a total introvert and I was an extremely, extremely shy kid. So she was hoping that it might bring out something in me. I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the potential to be able to be anyone. Like, I really liked that idea of like being able to be in other people's shoes, being able to immerse myself in a role as a lawyer one day, and then in a role as a princess the next, or something like that. It kind of just had a versatility to it that really appealed to me. Always. And it is like, for someone who's an introvert, it's kind of nice to be in the spotlight, in a way that feels safe still. Like, there are lines, no one goes off book. It's not scary in that way. And I did a bunch of theater growing up, did some operas as well, musical theater as, also. So I was pretty convinced, like, this is what I want to do. And I have to say, it's one of those things I still use all the time. Like, when you're a theater major, and I think this is true of arts, like people in the arts in general, like, you learn to see different perspectives. I can very easily put myself in my client's shoes. I'm very concerned about how they feel and what their experience is, and how we're crafting that. And I also think, like, when you're in theater, like, it teaches you a persuasiveness that is unexpected. Like, I thought I would never be good at a sales call. Like, I really thought it was going to be the downfall of my business, because I'm an introvert. Like, I'm not a salesperson, but I am a service person. Like, I believe in service, and I believe in being able to understand, like, I can see from all my time in acting, like, I can see someone's reaction and understand the emotional state that they're in, and start to understand how different language or words can shift that emotional state, which is kind of what you do on stage.
Yeah.
Like, you're using language and words to shift a character's emotional state. And if you're doing it really well, like, you're doing it effectively, like, you are actually shifting that person's emotional state. So there are a lot of lessons, I think, just overall from the industry, and from the training, that kind of keep coming back, of like how you transform energy and how you transform a relationship and a person. So it's been, yeah, I mean, just, I still revisit all of that on a regular basis.
Yeah, I find the same. And the time spent on stage, for me, really reduced stage fright,
Yeah.
concerns about making presentations. And so much of what we have to do with our online presence these days is show up like we are right now and be visible, be heard, be confident in that, not be sweating bullets, and put our best foot forward. And I see now, same as you, I think I got into theater when 4th or 5th grade, and it just keeps paying dividends.
Yeah.
All that training.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Well, shall we look at your human design chart?
Yes, let's.
Okay, so as if you're new to the show, I always ask our guests a question about what they want to see in their chart. And so Brandy's question was, what do I need to be doing to serve my highest purpose? And all of you listening or watching, what do you need to be doing to serve your highest purpose? And with that, I'm going to bring up Brandy's chart here on the screen. She has a very interesting chart, meaning that it's rare. There's people that are rare in terms of the human population, and Brandy's one of them. You have a 3-6 profile. So let's just start with that. It's these lines after the sun and earth positions in your design and your personality. So really quickly, the design is the body, and it comes in 88 days before we're born, starts to evolve, and then the personality equals our mind, which is really for the other person. We get caught up in our personality, but it isn't who we really are. It's a vehicle for us to communicate with other people. So there's that. Taken together, the lines after these initial gate positions give you a 3-6 profile, and there are 12 profiles. The 3-6 is one of the rare ones, and the rare ones fall in between the popular ones. So the popular profiles are about 12.5 to 15% of the population. And then these rare profiles like you have, Brandi, it's about 2.5% of the population. So I don't meet many 3-6s.
Interesting.
And it is interesting, and especially in light of what we've been discussing, because the 3, it's called the martyr because the first 30 years of your life are a lot of trial and error, a lot of bumping into things, a lot of figuring out what doesn't work. On the master path, however, this 3 becomes a gift for strategy, which is exactly what you do.
Yep.
You lead with strategy. And 6 is known as the role model. And the role model is way up on the roof, sees the big picture. And anyone with a 6 in their profile tends to not see what the masses are hooked into. I mean, you see what they're hooked into, but you're not hooked into it. That's what I want to say. You're above it. You're above it. And it's systemic. The 6 sees the system, which makes you perfectly well suited to what you're doing, because the 6 in you sees the system that will support that client. And each client has some variations, I would imagine, in what the setup needs to be, say, with their website in order for their own business strategy to get traction. And so you are naturally well suited to see the big picture and then know the steps to get there. So you're a big picture and a how person, which is really rare. And it's a rare profile. It's rare for people to be both. So you're serving your highest purpose always if you're balancing that big picture with the strategy. So the profile, in a sense, is the costume to our life purpose. It's the way we show up. And then the purpose itself is the incarnation cross, which comes from the four gates of the sun and earth. So we have the lines that are the profile, in which case you're 3-6. Those are the numbers after the decimal point. And then we have the gates themselves. And all of your gates, I'm going to zoom in here, come off of the G center. And the G center is essentially a magnet known as the magnetic monopole that holds the body together. It's this gravitational pull that holds the body together. And just recently, well, in the past 2 decades, scientists discovered that all living things and all inanimate things actually have this point within them that hold them together. So we're held together by these magnetic monopoles, and the frequency of it is love. So we could say that love holds everything together. You have the 25, 46, 15, and 10 as part of your incarnation cross. You also have the 1, which is the artist. No big shocker there. All the gates of the G center have to do with some kind of love energy. So gate 25 is universal love. And thus you are conceptually aware of there can be this love for humanity or this love for nature or this love for a good digital experience that transcends interpersonal love, right? Then gate 46 is the love of the body. So this is about honoring your body. And both of these are on the design side. That's why they're in red. So they're coming from the chart over on the left here, the red. And they're going to be to some degree unconscious to you. So 2 of the ways you serve your purpose is this 25, which is initiating people into a higher expression of who they are. So you're an initiator, you're a catalyst for people. And then the 46 is the love of the body. And from a business standpoint, it's about being kind of lucky, right place, right time, having good instincts because you trust your body. But it also means that you have to really nurture your body. Sports, yoga, dance, like your body needs a lot of activity with gate 46 or it won't be happy. It just needs a lot of activity. And you're a generator with the defined sacral. So you're going to need a lot of activity. 46 kind of demands it or your body will rebel. And the challenge with gate 46 is to not push it too hard either. Because then the people I know with gate 46, they have to find that sweet spot, right? Like they'll over exercise, injure themselves, and then they can't exercise and they're doing this swing. So it's really important that pacing with your body and really loving your body, whatever that looks like. I remember once my sister told me, she said, when I put on coconut oil on my feet and my legs, I talk to my body and tell it how beautiful it is. And I talk to every toe and I talk to every cell and I really love on my body. And I thought that's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing to do. It's a very gate 46 thing to do as well. So these unconscious parts of you are running automatically. And it's good to be aware of them. And then gate 15 from the personality side and gate 10, they have very different frequencies. So gate 15 is about finding what's just right in your rhythm. One of my teachers, Richard Unger, calls it the Goldilocks rule. Not too much, not too little, just right. And 15 is always looking for just right. It's called modesty. The keynote is modesty because modesty is just right. Not too much, not too little. Someone isn't being immodest. They're not being falsely bashful. They're just, showing up with appropriate energy to situations. This is about your own unique rhythm. And so one of the things you help people do is find their unique rhythm. And then we have gate 10, which is our identity. And being able to behave in a way that is natural and authentic to who we really are. And your gate 10 actually connects into gate 34, which is pure creative power. So you have this pure creative power and it's going up to the identity gate. So you're using this tremendous creative energy to, because from the personality side, to help others live in accordance with their true identity.
Mm.
And that's your mission as well with yourself, is to
Yep.
be authentic in what you do. But this gives you great instinct and it gives you great creative power. Most of the gate, all the gates off of the sacral have like a sexual kind of tantric component, except for 34. It isn't a sexual energy. It's almost like you know those cars that have, I don't know what it's called because I don't know a lot about how cars are built, but they have like those booster engines or the like in the movies, like they'd hit the gas and the booster engine would kick in.
Yeah. It's all the
30
muscle cars.
Yes. So 34 is like having the booster engine, booster, whatever, exhaust system. I don't know. It's just, it makes the car go faster. And anyone with gate 34 has this huge pressure. It's almost a pressure to create.
Mm-hmm.
What you're creating is about this, what's called the vessel of love. Even looks like a cup. Right? And in the tarot, cups represent emotion, they represent love. And so this vessel of love is this, you're this container in this body you're in. You're this container to bring forth this consciousness through strategy and systems, this consciousness of what it means to be a person who's vibrating a frequency of universal love, which is a very high consciousness, who's respecting their body, who's honoring the rhythm, and who is communicating from their true identity, not some persona.
Mm-hmm.
So you are, in many ways, a person who is uh, steering people away from anything false, phony, inauthentic. It just no. And your body just gives you a right away from the sacral. It's not a mental process. And this is what's interesting about design in terms of location, location, location. Just like in real estate, where are we looking in the body? Um, your head, your ajna, your throat, your will, and your spleen are undefined. So for a generator, you have 5 centers that aren't defined. And this is where a lot of conditioning can come in if you're unaware, but you're very aware. It's also this openness you have gives you this huge flexibility in dealing with people because all your energy is down low here. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
You have 3 out of the 4 motors. The sacral is a motor, the root is a motor, and the solar plexus is a motor. The will is a motor, but you don't have that defined. So you have 3 out of 4 motors. You're a generator. Generators are worker bees, and they tend to do the same thing over and over and over. I'm a generator too. So
Yeah.
we're builders, and we just build stuff, and we keep building it, and we keep perfecting our process. In this case, with websites and digital presence and digital support. Every time you do a website, you learn a little bit more, I would imagine.
Oh, it is a constant evolution of processes and ideas and knowledge, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what this design is about. And with 3 motors and all this energy down low, your body just knows what to do. You don't have to think about it very much.
Yeah.
It just happens for you. You can look at things and your body knows, oh, let's move it let's move this around it's coming from the 34. That's the thing I want you to know. It's not your mind. The mind is up here. So the mind is great for visualizing, conceptualizing, putting images together in the right sequence. It does a lot of wonderful things, but it's not really the decision maker. And for you, you really can run on instinct. Your body just absolutely knows where to guide you without you having to think about it, which is quite amazing. Some people, they have all their energy up here and their mind just is always going. And their mind in many ways is very vital to their decision making. But for you, no, all instinct. One other thing, you have the gate 19 that connects to gate 49. And this channel is very fascinating to me because 19 is about how you approach things. So you have a way where you can approach anybody and usually not offend them. You know how to approach people to move things forward. 49 is called revolution, and it's an emotional frequency. This is a tribal energy here. And it's about approaching people in the right way so that they get their needs met, so that the resources are used effectively. Because if not, 49, there's a revolt. It can be 49 in the shadow sense, can be very violent in a tribal situation if there's a threat to the resources. Fortunately, most of us don't have to deal with that on the regular. But your approach is making sure that revolution happens in a creative way.
Yep.
Instead of from the not enough. And the 19 energy is also the healer. So you bring with you this this energy in your interactions that people probably find, I know I do, very calming. It's very nurturing.
Yeah.
It's a giving energy. So anyway, that's just a quick overview of what I see. How did that land for you, hearing that?
I mean, it's so point on, and it's so fascinating because a couple years ago I did work with my why statement and my how statements, and so many of my how statements are actually directly reflective of what you were just going through. Of like, one of my hows is to make sure that I always see the forest as well as the trees, and that's a matter of like making sure like I have to see the big picture, but I also have to see the discrete steps in the big picture, like what is making up everything. And that's something that I do very uniquely from like a website standpoint that there are not many people out there who do, is like I can figure out, between my website knowledge and my business knowledge, okay, how do we get from here to where the client wants to be? And not just from a aesthetic perspective, but from like a core foundational perspective too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thanks for your time today, Brandi.
Thank you for having me. This has been so much fun.
Oh, it was a blast. It was just great being with you. And maybe you'll come back again sometime.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Awesome. All right, everyone. This has been another episode of Align to Your Design. Brandi and I are signing off. Have a great rest of your day. And we'll see you all soon. Bye. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Align to Your Design. If you did, please grab my free report, Business by Design, at yourpurpose.com, and then join our Facebook group, Align to Your Design. See you next time.